Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with random reviews from the Overflow room. And that's the signal. I'm very excited because today, is it happening today? It's happening today. We get out of the S's as we work our way backwards through the alphabet and into the R's. And I'm restocking my collection here in the new Overflow room. Actually, I have to get everything out of the old Overflow room, I think, in the next few weeks. So we're going to have mounds and mounds of boxes back here that we're going to have to put away. Oh, joy, what a joy that's going to be. I can hardly wait. It seems like I never stop moving, but that should be it, I think. If I get all of that junk together, I can start putting it here in its new permanent home. Until the flood, of course. You know, it's the basement here, so God knows what's going to happen. All right. Anyway, let's start. We're at the end of the S's. Victor de Sabata. Yes. Now, Victor de Sabata's recordings have been issued and reissued and reissued. There are very, very few of them. He was one of those, incredibly austere. He didn't believe in recording. He made Toscanini nervous. I mean, he was an incredible perfectionist with a heart condition, of course, because all of us perfectionists have heart conditions, don't we? Yeah. So this has some of his very famous recordings. You've got his Brahms 4, and you've got bits of Tristan and Isolde with Giuseppina Cobelli and Renato Zanelli and Antonio Righetti and Abe Stignani as Brangain, and Luigi Rossi Morelli as Corvinal, and oh my goodness, all these famous people. And Aristide Baracchi as Merlot, whatever his name is. Okay, that's with the Orchestra of La Scala. These are all on the Pearl label. And then we've got Strauss's Death and Transfiguration, Respighi's Festa Romana, and Kodai's Dances from Galanta with the Berlin Philharmonic. So that's 2 discs on Pearl. And I keep them because Pearl does very good transfers by and large, and because he's like an important guy, and these performances are kind of famous, and you don't really need any of them. That's the truth, but I hang on to them anyway. Then we've got, Kaya Saariaho. I shall never forget Kaya Saariaho, the late, great Kaya Saariaho. Now, Saariaho wrote music that was actually extremely avant-garde. She was a disciple of Pierre Boulez and worked at Urcam in France, and her first pieces, I remember, were virtually unlistenable. They had air raid sirens going off and screaming and shrieking, and they were just noise and texture. And I remember reviewing one. It was on Finlandia when I was writing for Fanfare magazine way, way back in the day, and I trashed it in one paragraph, and the publisher, Joel, called me up and she said, "Are you sure you wanted to say this?" And I said, "Oh, yes, I do." I just couldn't stand it. But as her style evolved, it became more listener-friendly. And she wound up writing some very, very beautiful works, actually, in a approachability sense. They were no less part of her unique voice. It wasn't a voice that I particularly enjoyed, I have to confess, because I always found her music kind of wispy and vaporous and kind of, vague, and it sort of drifts around and doesn't have much shape. But other people enjoyed it. And she wrote this opera, which was quite well received, L'Amour de Loin. And this is 5 reflets on L'Amour de Loin, which is for soprano, baritone, and orchestra, bits of the opera. It's quite lovely. And then we've got her Nymphia Recollection for string orchestra, and Ultramar, 7 preludes for the new millennium for orchestra and choir. This is on Ondine. In fact, these next 3 discs are all on the Ondine label. And they're beautiful performances by Finnish forces. This is the Finnish Radio Symphony Orchestra with various soloists and choirs under Jukka-Pekka Saaraste. And so that's that. And then we've got this thing. These things all have weird names. They have to have names. It's like you remember, it's like Xenakis, like Pithopraka and Thwakwak and Uga Uga, and well, this is like that. You've got Lon for soprano and electronics, Pires for cello and electronics, Noa for flute and electronics, and 6 Japanese Gardens for percussion and electronics. And this was done at Urcam. and it's very irky. And then we've got, let's see here, ballet, ma, 2 A's, ma. Ballet in 7 scenes, journey, gates de la terre, forest, windows, fall, air, phoenix, something, I don't know. None of these things make any sense to me. I mean, if you have to have like an owner's manual, let's put it that way, to understand what they're talking about, then you've already gone too far. I mean, I understand things happen in different languages, but there's a limit, right? So anyway, that's Saariaho. Not one of my favorite contemporary composers, but one of my favorite contemporary composers, without doubt, was Frederick Rzewski. Here he is, Rzewski, the composer of the greatest set of piano variations since Beethoven's Diabellis. The people united will never be defeated. And here is one performance of it. I have several. Actually, quite a few. I have to put these in reverse order, right? So I put them back in correctly. When I put it back, we have to have, let's see, Saariaho's there, this is there. Yeah, that's how it's going to work. Okay. And here we go. The people united will never be defeated. An amazing piece of music. If you don't have it, you must hear it. You must hear it very regularly. It's an incredible work. Minutely organized, brilliantly pianistic, and just a thrill to listen to. This is the performance with Stephen Drury, and it has a recording with it. It's on New Albion. I wonder if New Albion still exists. I hope so. Anyway, it's got a performance of the original song at some sort of left-wing political rally in Chile, or Buenos Aires, in Argentina. So that's kind of nice. Everybody screams and yells and sounds very proletarian. And this is the performance by Ursula Oppens, the Dedicatee, on Vanguard. It does not include an improvisation, which he leaves room for, Rzewski does, toward the end. It's recorded under the supervision of the composer, but Oppens remade this for CD records, a much better performance than this one. This one is good. Of course it's good. I mean, he wrote it for her, he supervised it, she knew what she was doing, but she put far more fantasy and I think character into her later recording than this one, which is more of an exposition of what the work is. People were still discovering the riches that lie buried within. So there's that one. And then we've got, let's see, De Profundis, for speaking pianist. Well, that's sort of irritating, isn't it? Speaking things always annoy me. And the sonata for piano sonata, which is a big work, 36 minutes, major piece. Rzewski's piano music is really quite an extraordinary body of work in 20th century music. Oh, this is lovely. This is a Rzewski collection played by Eighth Blackbird, that wonderful assortment of percussion and other things on CD. We have his Pocket Symphony from the year 2000. Delightful, witty, wonderful music. Les Moutons de Panurge, the sheep of Panurge, and Coming Together. Here it all is. This is a great disc on CD. If you don't have it, look, there's a sheep. See the sheep? With Eighth Blackbird, the disc is simply called Fred, after Mr. Fred. And, it's terrific. Absolutely terrific. Then let's see, what's this one? Spot. This is Zeitgeist, a decade. Zeitgeist plays Rzewski. Okay, so it's Zeitgeist, they're playing Rzewski. What label is this on? I have no idea. Does it say? Not really. Producer, art designer, comes from Cologne. It's got 00 discs. I have no idea what label this is on. It has a what thing there. I mean, do you know what that is? Maybe somewhere it tells you. These people don't know how to sell anything. It's unbelievable. So this contains Spots, Wales, The Lost Melody, and Crusoe, all by Rzewski. So that's really fun. Zeitgeist is, let's see, 2 percussionists, Heather Barringer and Jay Johnson, and Thomas Linker keyboards, and Robert Samarotto woodwinds. And they're very zeitgeisty. Rzewski usually wrote for small forces because he could control what they were doing, and he could get performances that way. He worked in Europe. He spent most of his career in Germany, I believe. North American ballads and then squares. The North American ballads are fabulous. These were written for Paul Jacobs, both of these pieces, and they are fantastic piano works. You have the North American ballads are Dreadful Memories, Which Side Are You On, Down by the Riverside, and the Winnsboro Cotton Mill Blues, something of a contemporary classic in the piano repertoire. It's just amazing. And then squares are, let's see, there are 4 of those: Squall, Hyenas, Noctambule, and Sideshow. You got to hear it. This is on the Hat Art label, which I don't think exists anymore, unfortunately. This is Rzewski playing Rzewski. So, I mean, it doesn't get better than that. And finally, last but not least, his own recording with improv, in this particular case, I believe, yes, of The People United Will Never Be Defeated, which he recorded several times. This is, I think, the best of his versions of it. This is also on the Hat Art label. I wish these things were still around. They were really, really terrific. They were made without thought to anything like economics or salability or marketability or anything like that. It was just contemporary because, you know, the theory was if you build it, they will come. Well, no, it doesn't really work that way in the marketplace, but that's okay. We have the recordings, and I'm keeping them. They're really cool. So that's it, my friends. We had Sabata and Saariaho and Rzewski. 3 very interesting and varied selections for this little trip into the Overflow room. Keep on listening, friends, and thanks for joining me. Take care.